Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome back. This is a new week, and just like I mentioned last week, we're going to start a new unit. We're going to be talking about shapes and their attributes. Attributes are characteristics. So we're going to be looking at a total of 5 different shapes, and we're going to talk about the different characteristic each shape has. And then you are going to be asked to do a Seesaw assignment and an IXL assignment. And I know it seems like a lot of work, but believe me, I know you guys can do this. This is something that you guys have learned about in kindergarten and that you have talked about and I've heard you talk about with your IXL this year too. So first we're going to be looking at these 2 shapes. And does anyone know what this shape is called? This green shape. What do we call this shape? Miss Hernandez.
It's called a circle.
A circle. Perfect. So that is the name of this shape. We call it a circle, right? So I'm going to write it up here so that we know what the word is. And a lot of you know that this is a circle. Right now, what I want the teachers to do, and you at home, is to look at the circle and think about how would you describe this shape if an alien came to this planet and didn't know anything about shapes? How would you describe this shape? And then we're going to type all of our ideas in our boxes so that we have a little bit of notes and we can refer to them when we're doing our assignment. So what are some attributes or characteristics of this shape? And give yourself some think time. And friends, if you need some think time, you can pause the video and ask your brother or sister to help you or tell them about this shape and their characteristics. All right, Miss T, what is something you notice about this shape?
I noticed that it's round because there are no points on the circle.
No points. And what do we call those points on shapes? Does anyone know what that's called? Miss Rosales?
Corners.
Corners. Perfect. So there are no corners on this shape, right? It is perfectly round. Beautiful. Is there anything else we notice? Miss Hernandez?
I noticed that the circle is completely closed.
Completely closed. There are no gaps in between the circle. The circle is filled, right? We have that whole circle filled and all of it is enclosed. Perfect. What is something else we notice, Ms. Rosales?
There are no sides.
There are no sides. Perfect. So we have that the shape is round, there are no points, it is completely closed, and there are no sides. And of course, points are also corners. Thank you. Is there anything else? All right. Yes, Ms. Rosales?
It has no beginning or end in terms of its shape.
Yeah.
Continue.
Beginning or end. It just continues, right? Continues. Perfect. Now let's look at this shape. What is this shape called, Miss T?
I think it's called a square.
Perfect. It is called a square, and I'm going to write that down here, up here, so that everyone knows what it's called, a square. And while I'm writing that, let's think of things that we notice about this shape. So remember, friends, you can pause the video to ask yourself, what do I notice about this shape? And then tell your brother or sister or your mom and dad. All right. Miss Hernandez, what do you notice about this shape?
I see that the square has 4 corners.
There are 4 corners. I'm going to show you that. Perfect. So we see a corner here. This is what we call a corner when 2 sides meet. And so this is a corner, this is a corner, this is a corner, and this is a corner. So we have a total of 4 corners. Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. So 4 corners or points, right? Like Ms. T said. All right, Ms. Rosales, what's something else that you noticed?
There are 4 sides.
4 sides, perfect. And I'm going to show you that with my pen too. Maybe let's use a different color. Let's use red, that stands out with blue. So we have a corner here, 1.
Side.
A side, sorry, 2, 3, and 4. So we have a total of 4 sides, right? And so the sides 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have a total of 4 corners. I wonder if that's connected in some way. All right. Now let's look. Is there anything else that we notice? Miss T, what do you notice about this shape?
I remember using my prior knowledge that squares have not just 4 sides, but they're all equal.
Ooh, great. 4 equal sides. And that's very important because that's what classifies a square from another very similar shape. Does anyone know the other similar shape? And I know friends at home, you might know too. Miss Rosales, what's that other shape that has 4 sides, 4 corners, but is different than a square?
A rectangle.
A rectangle, yes. And a square is different from a rectangle because all of the sides of a square are equal. That means that this side is the same length. Ooh, we've talked about that. That means the measurement, right? Length. So this is the same length as this side, and it's the same length as this side, and it's the same length as this side. And there's a symbol we use to show equal sides, and that's this little line. That's called, I don't know what it's called. Does anyone know? I know we have some third grade teachers here. Is there a specific name for this little symbol?
No.
No, right?
Call it a tick mark. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a math symbol that tells everyone in geometry that all of the sides are the same length. So if you see that, then you'll know, oh, that means that all of the sides are the same length.
So just boys and girls, and just with reading and writing, we annotate, right? In math, we do the same thing, and that's just one of the symbols.
Are there any other attributes or characteristics of a square? Miss Rosales?
It has 2 sets of parallel lines.
Ooh, okay. 2 sets of is it 2 R's or 1? I always forget.
1 R, 2 L's.
2 L's.
Thank you. Parallel lines. Okay, and I'm going to put that little dash. All right, and what does that mean? What does that mean, Ms. Rosales? Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. It means that we have 2 sides that go that are opposite from each other, and the lines will never cross. So if I have this as one line and this as the other line, they will continue going as like train tracks forever and ever without touching. And then you're looking at this set. These 2 sets are parallel to each other. They continue going on and on and on forever and ever and not touching.
Perfect. Yes. And that's giving you some idea into geometry when you get older, and you're going to see that in 3rd grade and 4th grade a little bit more. So now you know a little bit more about squares and their attributes. All right. So we have 3 more shapes we want to go through. All right, so let's go to, we've talked about circles and how they're round. They have no corners. They're completely closed. There's no gaps, no sides, and there's no beginning or end. But squares are completely different. They have 4 corners, 4 sides, but all of those sides are equal. And there's 2 sets of parallel lines that continue to go without ever crossing. All right, so now let's go to our next page where we're gonna have 2 different shapes. Does anyone know what this shape is called, this orange shape? Miss Rosales?
Triangle.
A triangle, perfect. And I'm gonna write it right here, triangle. And that has the hard G, triangle. That's how I remember how to spell angle, because I always mixed up with angel. All right, now I want us to look at this shape, the triangle, and think of some noticings. What do we notice about its characteristic and attributes? All right, Miss T, can you tell us what's something we notice, or you notice?
I noticed that there are 3 corners or points.
3 corners, points. Perfect. And I will show you those 3 corners. So right here, there's 1. And remember, corners are when 2 sides meet. So here's 1. Here's a second one. And then our 3rd one, where 2 sides meet. All right, what else do we notice? Miss Hernandez, what do you notice?
I noticed that the triangle has 3 sides.
3 sides, perfect. Okay, so let's show that. So we have, I'm going to use red again. So we have one side here, 2, and then 3. Perfect. So 3 sides. Anything else we noticed about the triangle? Miss Rosales?
I just noticed that you said 3 corners and 3 sides, and just looking at the word triangle, if you know Spanish, tres is a clue to let you know. Try. Tres, try. 3. 3 corners, 3 sides.
Yep. So we use our language, and especially Spanish, because it connects with English a lot more than other languages do, and how we can use that to help us understand the meaning of words. And triangle does have that, or that, I wouldn't know if it's not a root, but it has that clue for us.
Yes, it's a prefix.
So is there anything else that we notice about triangles? Ms. Hernandez?
Well, in this particular triangle, the sides are also equal.
Perfect. Yes. And this particular one, what do you mean by that, Ms. Hernandez?
Because I've seen other triangles where the sides are not always equal. Some sides are longer, some sides are shorter, but in this one, all sides are equal.
In this triangle, all sides are equal. But that's not always the case. We need to understand that sometimes triangle sides can actually, one can be longer than others. But what makes a triangle a triangle? Is it that they have equal sides? Or is it that, what else? Ms. Rosales?
So what the only thing that defines a triangle is the number of corners, and the number of sides need to be 3. So you can technically pull the top part of that corner and pull it and elongate it and make it a very long tip triangle, and it still holds true. It has 3 corners and 3 sides, and it's still defined as a triangle.
But it's very important that we understand that this is an equal, these sides are all equal. That's a different type of triangle. That's called an equilateral triangle, which means that all of the sides of the triangle are equal. But what makes a triangle is that it has 3 corners and 3 sides, right? Thank you, Ms. Hernandez, for giving us that insight. All right, let's go to our next shape. This shape is called a, what, Miss T?
This is called a rectangle.
A rectangle. And a rectangle, sometimes it gets confused with another shape. And what's the other shape it gets confused with?
A square.
Square, because they look very similar, right? And they have similar attributes, but it's important to understand their differences. So let's see and look for a moment. What do we notice about this shape? Miss Rosales?
It has 4 corners.
4 corners or points, and that means that corners are when sides meet, right? When sides meet, that's called a corner. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. And that's important because that's what defines a rectangle as well, how many sides they have. All right, what's another attribute we notice? Miss Hernandez, what do you notice?
That the rectangle also has 4 sides.
Perfect. There are 4 sides in this rectangle, and I'm going to use, oopsie. Wow, that was cool. Oops. 4 sides. I forgot what I wrote. 4 sides. S sides. No, Miss Yukimowicz. 4. Okay. Now I can show that with red or pink. So we have 4 sides. Right here is 1 side, 2, 3, and 4. But what do we notice about these sides? Miss T?
I noticed that they're not like the square where they have 4 equal sides, but they have 2 sides that are the same. So 2 sets of sides that are the same. These sides are the same, and these sides are the same.
Perfect. How can I write that? 2 sides.
2 sets of sides that are equal.
2 sets of sides that are equal. And I can show you that here. So these two sides, not signs, this side is the same length as this side. And we show equal sides with this little line, right? But since we already used this symbol, we don't want to show that with these two signs. So we do use a different symbol, and it's just two lines. And this just says that these two sides are the same length too. So we have the top and bottom sides are equal in length, and the two sides are equal in length, right? And I'm thinking about this parallel line again. So would we say that this shape has two sets of parallel lines too, since it's very similar to a triangle?
Oh, square?
Square, sorry, yes. Yes, all right. So we would say that they also have parallel lines. And we said they have two sets of parallel lines. Perfect. And that means that there are two lines that can keep going and they never intersect or never touch, right? What makes a rectangle different from a square? And we need to make sure that we vocalize that so that we know. Miss T?
Oh, I was gonna say that because a square has 4 equal sides, but a rectangle doesn't have 4 equal sides. They have 2 sides that are the same and 2 that are the same. But I was also noticing that in the word parallel, there are parallel lines in the word parallel. So in case you forget, you can remember that's what parallel means.
Ooh, what a great clue. So if you don't know what parallel is and you see that word again, you're like, wait a second. I remember my first grade teachers telling me about that. Just look at those L's and you'll be reminded. It means lines that continue and never touch, right? Perfect. Yes, Ms. Hernandez.
So you're also going to notice in the rectangle that 2 of the sides are shorter and 2 of the sides are longer.
Ooh, what a great attribute. Let's put that in. So 2 sides are longer. 2 sides are shorter. Perfect. So now we know a little bit more about the attributes of a rectangle, and let's go on to our last, oh, sorry, Ms. Rosales has something to say, of course.
Sorry, you guys. As you get into it, you find that this shape, because it has 4 sides and 4 corners, is called a quadrilateral. And quadrant means cuatro. And it helps you find out 4 corners, 4 sides. Okay, extra.
All right, so now we're going to go to our last shape. Does anyone know what this shape is called? I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with the number of sides it has, if you know Latin. Miss Rosales, can you tell us what's the name of this shape?
So the name of that shape is a hexagon. And the way you can remember that is hex has an X like 6.
Hex and 6. That's the Latin word for 6, right? Or abbreviation for 6. So we have, oh, wait, what happened here? Hexagon. Okay. So that tells us a little bit about the attribute of this polygon. And what does that tell us? What are some attributes we notice? Ms. T?
That means we have 6 corners or points.
Perfect. 6 corners or points. And remember, corners or points are when 2 sides meet, right? So let's count them out. All right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Perfect. So 6 points or corners. What else do we notice about this shape, Ms. Hernandez?
That this shape has 6 lines or 6 sides.
6 sides. Perfect. So, 6 sides. So let's count those lines or sides. Okay. Ooh, I did that again. I have to remember to press on my marker. Okay. Now let's count the sides. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 sides. That's correct. What else do we notice about this shape?
I don't have extra.
Do we know something about their lengths, Miss?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say in this hexagon, they have equal sides.
So all of the sides are equal, and we're going to use this symbol to show that all of the sides are equal. And I'm not sure, do our hexagons usually have equal sides? I
The
think
common ones do.
They don't have to, but they usually do.
Yeah, I think they usually do, but sometimes they don't. And you might come across a hexagon in your IXL that's not equal, that they don't have equal sides, but you'll know that it's a hexagon. How will you know? Ms. Rosales?
You count the number of corners and sides.
So it's very important to understand and count the number of corners and sides a shape has, because that will determine what kind of shape it is, the number of corners and the number of sides. And can you tell us what you're showing us, Ms. Rosales? Tell us more about that.
This is a shape. It's closed, like Ms. Hernandez had pointed out, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corners and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So this classifies as a hexagon. But like Ms. T said, you normally would see a hexagon like this picture.
So I wrote that here. This hexagon has 6 equal sides, but not all hexagons have equal sides, right? And so that's a very important attribute to think about. All right, so now that we are done and we talked about all of these 5 shapes, there are so many more to talk about, and maybe we'll talk about them more as the week goes on. We are going to explain now what your assignment is so that we can see if you understood our lesson today and so that you can get some practice. So on Seesaw, on your own page, you're going to have 3 pages. Remember, 3 different pages. You need to complete all of those pages to get full credit. And what it's asking you, it says directions. Look at the shapes, circle the correct name of the shape. And it has multiple choice questions, right? And it's going to ask you, it shows you a shape, and you have to figure out, is this a square, a triangle, a rectangle, or an oval? So teachers, let's do this one together. What do we think, and how do we know that this is the shape that we think it is? Miss T, what shape do you think this is?
Well, I know that most shapes are named after how many sides they have, and because this shape has 3 sides, I remember that a triangle has 3 sides.
So it wouldn't be a square that has 4 sides, or a rectangle, and we haven't really talked about an oval, so triangle it is, and you're going to circle your answer. Perfect. So remember, triangles have 3 corners and 3 sides. All right, what about number 2? Let's do this one, the last one that we will do together, and you will do the rest on your own. Miss Hernandez, what are you thinking? What shape is this?
So I know that we had said a rectangle has 2 short sides and 2 longer sides. So that's going to make me think it is a rectangle and not the other shapes.
Perfect. We know triangles have 3 sides, so that doesn't work. A circle doesn't have any sides. And then we didn't talk about a diamond, so a rectangle must be the correct answer. And if you notice, Miss Yikimwood used the same color as her shapes, and that made it a little bit more fun. So you can do that too. All right, so this is what you'll be doing for Seesaw, but you also have an IXL assignment. And I know it seems like a lot, but this is naming shapes. And I know a lot of you guys know the names of a shape. So the more practice we get, the better. And then we can see how much you know. So when you are done with this assignment, you can go to IXL and you are going to go to the code MCW. And I will write that down right here for us. So our code, so the code is, and we'll write it down on our Class Dojo too, is MCW. And this is going to be naming 2-dimensional shapes. And 2-dimensional, does anyone know what that means? 2-dimensional? Another way we can write it is 2D. I know you guys know about 3D, but what's 2D, Ms. Rosales?
It's a flat shape.
So we notice that this shape here is flat. It looks like it's painted or drawn, right? There's no depth. So that's what a 2D shape is. It's flat, you can't touch it, you can't you can't see all around it. All right, so what you're gonna do is the same thing that we've been doing on our seesaw. You're going to answer, what shape is this, right? And we see this. What shape could this be, Ms. Rosales?
Circle.
A circle. And how do you know?
It has no corners, no sides, and it's round.
Perfect. So we would put circle. It lets me touch it. There we go. And then submit. Awesome. All right. And then what's this shape, Miss T?
It's a square because it has 4 sides that are equal.
Equal, right. All right, and so this is exactly what you'll be doing, very similar to what we have in our assignment, and it's fun because we get to learn about shapes, and then we're going to be preparing for our next assignments for this week. So have a great day, do your best, and we'll see you again later. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.